outils. Après menu des classes, gurpe se me rend maisonio.
All right, how about now, guys? Do you hear the let's see. I'm showing the mic here. Looks like it's coming through. I think I fixed that.
Comme dit l'ancienne, mais ma bekleven la reine, comme on dit l'ancienne, mais ma bekleven la reine, comme on dit l'ancienne, mais ma bekleven la reine, comme on dit l'ancienne, agum des noirs, en douar, man, en esteyers, stérile, agum des noirs, en douar, man, en esteyers, stérile, stérile, en amicienne, a honnie, a jalousie, stérile, en amicienne, a honnie, a jalousie, stérile, en l'éroncine, elle m'a qu'épelle de zouti, stérile, en l'éroncine, elle m'a qu'épelle de zouti, après menu des classes, gurpe se me rend maisonio. Après rendu de classe, gurpe se me rend maisonio. On a rêvé que tu es les quenilles, pas peur n'a crayon. On a rêvé que tu es les quenilles, pas peur n'a crayon. Maison nous décomposée de nervons garmezot. Mais la maison nous décomposée de nervons garmezot. Mais c'est ordres et crémeuses de Passy et l'Alré. C'est ordres et crémeuses de Passy et l'Alré. Je peux voir Begamini du Yablé que Travagouz. 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 Elle de Spig ma botte squinna que Gavon de pose. Elle de Spig ma botte squinna que Gavon de pose. Elle veut ma had de la bourrana que passe par cœur. Elle veut ma had de la bourrana que passe par cœur. Elle veut ma had de la bourrana que passe par cœur. Elle veut ma had de la bourrana que passe par cœur. Elle a trop يبي خادم ندي وعلينا كيرجع trop يبي خادم ندي وعلينا كيرجع on a levé on nom c'est la tombe de règne doua la tombe de règne doua on a levé on nom c'est la tombe de règne doua doua chouka fouet noir en mardu n'avoir gaz et quicha Gas et puis j'en ai plus long, vas au journal, vous fiches tous nos bagons, vous fiches tous nos bagons, la peu long, vas au journal, vous fiches tous nos bagons, fiches tous nos bagons, nous y a, c'est qu'avant, vas, donc, fais d'abord son cœur.
We should go on to the next video here. I'm just gonna grab my espresso. I'll be right back. I just want to listen to a little bit of one more. So this is this awesome TV show from Brazil. And hey, everybody, by the way. Hey, Ann. Hey, Bill. Hey, Charlie. Hey, El Pelagi. Hey, Mike. Hey, Felix. Hey, Birdie. Who else is here? That's all I see. Craig, of course. Hey, Craig. Welcome to everybody. Great to see you. Let's just listen to a little bit of this show, which is this great show. I can't remember the name of the host here, but the guy that plays the guitar. And he has all these great Brazilian musicians on, and then they have conversation and they play together. It's like Marion McPartland's piano jazz, but with Brazilian musicians. And this one's Nonato Lima that we've watched on the show many times. He's amazing. I first heard about him from Gabe, I think. So let's see. Where do they start? Right about here.
Então é isso aí.
Hey, Ted.
Lima, esse craque aqui, gente. Estamos preparando para começar ao vivo aqui. Ele trouxe uma música linda, uma valsa maravilhosa, que a gente já vai abrir o programa com ela. E o que mais?
Thank you, Charlie. Nelson Farid.
Aí tem uma surpresa. Hein? Tem surpresas também, né? E essa aqui que você queria fazer? Como é que é a música? Tô tocando valsa.
Hey, Lori. Hey, Tom. Nomad Farmer, what's happening? You got the emote.
Solão junto.
A lot of Frank Morocco language in I agree with Ann, Tom. Have a great afternoon and catch the replay later.
Legal.
Okay. Well, here we go. Let's see. And alternate there. Yeah. Maybe put that. Nope. Okay. It's going to stay there. I don't know why that image is. Well, whatever. Anyways, welcome everybody. This is the accordion live stream. My name is Dallas Vietti, and this is the live stream for my accordion teaching school, which is mostly online, called risingread.com. Every Tuesday, just about, I try to do a live stream and talk about cool accordion music. Sometimes we just listen to music. Sometimes I go ahead and lecture and share and play and stuff. Sometimes we check out topics that are not specifically music. On today's episode of the accordion live stream, or the accordion stream, or the Rising Read live stream, whatever we call this thing, we're going to be talking about a tune from the Django Reinhardt gypsy jazz, jazz manouche genre and canon called Sweet Chorus. for the first hour here. And then after we're done with that, then we're going to go on and I'm going to do the book club for week 7 of The Artist's Way, which this one is called Recovering a Sense of Community. They're all cool chapters. This one doesn't disappoint either. Why don't we hop right into this tune called Sweet Chorus. So Sweet Chorus is not a tune that I knew already. And I actually, Charlie's here in the chat, and he's a Django head and plays all the time. And so I hit him up and I texted Charlie and I said, what tune should I do, from the tier 2? And he said, how about Sweet Chorus? So here it is. I've definitely heard people play it, and I'm sure I've played along with it before. But I haven't learned it before. So this was fun to take a few days, I don't know, maybe 4 days or so, practicing this tune. So I just took my first day, I learned my version off the record, and I didn't really consult the record after that. Once I sort of had it in my head, I listened to the record again this morning, and I heard a lot of stuff that I missed, and that's okay, because there's so much detail in the tune. And I'm just sharing this as a way to sort of describe my process. Maybe that will inform your process. Let's see, what do I want to show? Here's the Django in June website. This is a summer camp for adults that's in Northampton, Massachusetts. And I'm the accordion instructor this year. I have been for quite a few years, not every year in a row, but it's been going on for a while. And they have just wonderful instructors. They bring over a lot of instructors from Europe. But I'm showing you this because you might want to go to this camp this year. It's really great. And you might just want to check out their materials. So to get there, they have wonderful materials. You go to the Get Ready tab here under Django Camp. And under Get Ready, you've got all sorts of PDFs. And I really suggest, if you're interested in this music, grab the 24 Gypsy Jazz Standards Volume 1 for standard notation here, and also Volume 2. They're both really, really good. And those two volumes, either one of them, start with Volume 1, and then we go on to Volume 2. Keep those, and those are great references for you. You can put them on your iPad or print them out. And they whittle down the big list of Django repertoire into the ones that are most commonly played and best to learn. And they have information in there inside of the book that helps you know which ones to start on. He gives an order. I think Jack Soroff put this together. It's very good. So they will update this website with official charts and all sorts of other stuff for the tunes. And what these tunes are usually, they're always selected by the more famous, more featured artists. So this year, the other staff, well, you have Dallas Vieri as the accordion teacher, ooh la la, but I didn't get to pick a tune, but that's fine. We have some really great Fabi Lafertin, who's from my experience around Gypsy Jazz guitar players, everybody considers him like the shit, the real deal, just a musician who plays exactly right and from the soul, and just everybody loves Fabi Lafertin. Yosho Stefan is a younger generation musician, and I would say he's known for playing like blazingly fast. His technique is unbelievable. I believe he's from Germany. David Kelby, I don't know Dave Kelby. I'm sure he's amazing. Dennis Chang is amazing and an educator. Russell Welch is a friend of mine and a musician I played a lot with when I lived in New Orleans. Henry Acker is a younger generation. I believe he's in his 20s, and he's a total phenom. He's from the Massachusetts, Boston area, I believe. Sam Farthing is another young phenom I believe he's from like the Baltimore area. Adrian Halavati, if you guys have been on the website and you enjoy the sound slice technology that I use, Adrian came up with that. That is his product. That's his programming and his vision. And he's a really wonderful musician. And I just randomly found out he has a new album out, so I got to check that out. I don't want to go to everybody, but well, I may as well. Jimmy Grant, amazing, from Los Angeles, I think. Christine Tesson, a friend of mine that I made over the years. It'll be great to see her again. That's another cool thing at the Django and June camp is you make friends. You will. It's impossible not to. You make friends, and then you get to see them again. and again and again. And Christine is a wonderful guitarist from Montreal. Andrew Brown is a great guitarist from, I want to say from like Grand Rapids area, somewhere around there. Pardon me, Andrew. Jack Soroff, wonderful friend of mine, great musician, and Jack is in charge of coming up with materials. Matt Munisteri is a legendary American guitar player who's a great guy and has a huge career. And Ken Alday is a wonderful guitarist as well. I'm not sure where Ken is based out of, but wonderful. So anyway, why did I say that? Because the tier two tunes are chosen by the staff. I didn't mean to start reciting everybody's names. I don't know why I did that. But anyways, I suspect that Yoshio Stefan chose this tune, Sweet Chorus, because there is a cool version of him and Frank Vignola playing it recently. And anyways, okay, so let's listen to the tune and then we'll get into it. Okay, so all that was just this really cool improvisation-esque introduction. I'm not going to learn that. I don't think that would be cool to learn if I wanted to learn Django's vocabulary and technique and stuff. But to play the tune, we don't need that part of it. Probably at the Django camp, people will have learned it and play it, and it'll be really cool. But I'm skipping that. And I suggest you do too, unless like you love it and want to work it out. I'll talk a little bit about that again in a second, but let's listen to the whole tune. So boom, bum, bum, starts on the 5th. Django. Why did we lose sound, guys? Hang on one second. You might not have lost sound, but I did. I think it's because my speakers are connected to the Bluetooth. One moment. Here's the B section. Okay, so that's the end of the melody. And the form of this is AABA. Very, very common form, 32 bars long. Each A section is 8 bars long. And in order to understand the tune and categorize it, I've decided that the A sections are, hey, ePilot, thanks for saying hi. I've decided that the A sections are like 8-bar blueses. They're like a Django-fied 8-bar blues. That's what I told myself. And I've decided that it's kind of a mixture of like an 8-bar blues form put into a longer form and then mixed with a bunch of Django's kind of French Impressionist guitar style, which comes out in this a lot of whole tone scale modal stuff. And I'm going to show you what that is and what that means and where it is if you don't know already. But these are good things. And the style is, I think, also very representative of Django, that he is a combination of the blues and French Impressionism and a bunch of other stuff. So let's listen to now the next melody player. This is Stefan Grappelli on violin, and he's playing the melody. He has his own sort of version. Okay, that's the tune. So there isn't a chart up for the tune yet, and I didn't look one up, but I thought it would be cool for me to just sort of write it out and populate it on the stream, and we can check it out, and I can show you some stuff. So grab the accordion here. I discovered at the gig in Madison that this microphone is only picking up the microphone on the accordion is only picking up the left hand. So I have to work out what's going on there. But let's see. Let's see if this thing will know. I'm not getting it from instrument 3. Why not? In instrument 3? Is it picking up here? No, I'm not getting anything. Let's see here. No signal. Oh, now I got some stuff from nothing. Okay, well, maybe I got to change the battery. So, so we're going to skip the intro. That will be for something else. And then he does an augmented. And then now we have the B section, which is another melody. And we got to go boom, oh, and a boom, boom, boom. And then and now we have the walk up. And some whole tone. No, E minor. And the melody. And then the ding ding dong ding dong. Nice one. Something like that. So there we go. James Reese says Django after meeting Louis Armstrong. Yeah, cool. I know all the bends. So I was thinking of that, Craig, the bends. We're going to address all of this. So this is kind of how I approach the tune, and it doesn't have all of Django's ornamentation and stuff like that, because that would require another step, which would be to go in and learn his exact phrasing. And so what I did was, instead, I listened to the tune. I learned I learned it by ear, which I'm way better at now in 2025 than I was in 2015 or 2005. So, this thing is a lifelong process. I say to encourage us all. And then I started shedding on it, and I did it in 12 keys because that's the process that I love and that works for me. I also did this orderly process that I showed you guys last week, and I'm going to go through that again. And I really believe in that because I'm seeing a ton of improvement and stability in my own playing as a result of it, and I'm sharing it with other students. So let's talk about the tune and let me start to write it out and all that sort of stuff. And I want to address some things that are unique about this tune. It's not the easiest tune, but it's not the hardest tune either. The coughs are not for dramatic effect. They're because I got a little bit of allergies. Okay. I got to go to the one that's the iPad. This is the one that's iPad. Okay. I gotta get the iPad here. Window, iPad. Parfait. Okay. But why is it not showing? There we go. Okay, so voila. So this is Sweet Chorus, and Django wrote it. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do when I'm working with somebody or working on tune is I like to sketch out the form of the song. And we're going to do that. I like to do that like this. Take a piece of paper. This is good, like, manuscript paper is called. But you can do this with a piece of lined paper or blank paper, whatever. What we're going to have, the form is going to be A, B, A is the form. And we're going to do the A sections here. And we're going to have a first ending and a second ending. So as I think about that, what should I do? I think I'll make some changes here. I will erase this. And that'll be the second ending. Yeah. And then we'll continue. Okay, so this is the B section. And so now we have the B. And we have the first ending. Do that in slightly lighter. This is really good for our brains too. What we're after is to have all this stuff memorized. But as part of the memorizing and learning process is to write it out. That does really good stuff. I almost said magic. It's not magic, but it's analytical stuff. So don't be afraid if you're working on memorizing stuff, don't be afraid to write it out also as a further way of learning it. Multiple ways of learning. So okay. So let me put in the chords now. So we have a G6, and then a D7, and then a G6. And then we have a C7 for 2 bars. And then we have this ascending chromatic movement. So he starts on E flat, and then E7 a half step higher, and then F7 a half step higher than that. And then we get the D7, and D7 is the 5. So this is the 1 chord. We have the 1 chord. I'll do that in purple, actually. Where's purple? Here. The 1 chord, and then the 4 chord. And this is why I've decided to call this an 8-bar blues, because it's closest to an 8-bar blues. And you can feel that, and that's a form that we've heard a bunch of times as Americans or as Westerners or as anybody listening to the radio. So then we have G6 the first time and D7, but it's an augmented. So let me write this a little bit more neat. And then I'm going to put AUG just so my plus sign doesn't get confused with the way I write a 7. So D7 augmented, we will talk about that in a second. And the second ending, it goes to a C minor chord and then a G6 chord. And you know what? This is the second ending, but it's also the last ending. So we'll put 2, 3 here as our little chart. Okay, and then we have some more D7 augmenteds. And then we have G6 and G6 and D7 augmented and D7 augmented. And then we have a little, it's 6, 2, 5. So he goes to E minor 7, and then A7, and then D7. And then it goes back to the A section again. And so let's talk about this in the left hand. So for the left hand, it's what I'm doing. Sorry guys. My arrangement here, I use, and I've talked about this before, I use, a lot of times I use the simple triad. Just like that. So that was the first 2 bars, and then the second 2, I'm just going to use C7. Okay, now, when we're moving dominant 7s chromatically, if I did this without a lot of cleverness or introspection, I'd have to jump down to E flat, then jump up to E7, then jump down to F7, then jump up to D7, and then finally back to G, which is fine. I mean, if you can do that and that works for you, that's fine. What I decided to do is make the dominant sevens on the counter basses. And I'm going to draw this out on the next page. So there are a couple ways that we can accomplish dominant sevens on the counter basses. Let's see. I'm going to draw this out. Let's see. We've got C and F and B flat and E flat. Okay. Those are the fundamental basses. And these are the counter basses. And so we have E and A and D and G. And then under this, we have chord buttons. And so there are a couple ways to do this. There are two options. On this accordion, this is an accordion where the diminished row doesn't have a root in it. So normally when you play like the C diminished button on a normal Stradella accordion, you hear 3 notes on that. C, E flat, and A. And on this accordion, there's no C there, which is Frank Morocco style because this accordion was made for Frank Morocco. So when I demonstrate this one choice, you're not going to hear it exactly the same as on your accordion because there's no root in there. But let's talk about that. So on one of these options, what we're going to do is we're going to combine the roots that we need. So let's take a look at this ascending part because this is super useful for us. We need an E flat 7 chord and then an E7 chord and then an F7 chord. And so what we can do is if we're starting here on the fundamental basses, there are 2 really easy ones. So this one's just going to be E flat bass plus an E flat 7 chord. So that's really easy. So our 7th chord is there. And so that's what that's going to be. And this one is going to be an F bass plus an F7 chord, right? So that's really easy. So dum da da bum ba da bum, and then I leap up to the D7. And the D7 is here. So it's D plus D7. So most of these are really normal chords. It's really that chromatic one in the middle, the E natural, that could give us some problems. So there are 2 different ways to do it. And I want to show you both of them. I want to show you the one that I'm using in this case. But it's like up to you, and we should be able to do all of them, ideally. So let's see. Let me just check in with this. Yeah, chat is good. Okay, so get rid of this little thing. So the first one is where, like both of them, I would say to tell you, is that for both of them, we're going to use the E counterbass. So we have a pink one and an orange one here. Okay. So for both of them, we're going to use this counterbass right here. That one. And that itself there's a little bit of a challenge there. So here's me on E flat. And then I'm going to use my middle finger there. So that's a good place to start. And F7. Okay. So let's do the diminished one first. And that's the one that I have been doing on this accordion. So what we're going to do is we're going to use F diminished. So there's the diminished, and that's going to sound like this. And really what you guys should all hear out there is that this is playing on this instrument, playing that F diminished sounds exactly like this chord. So if I play or I play, they sound identical. On your accordion, they won't sound identical because you're going to have the root of that F diminished note, which is F, it's going to sound like that. There's going to be dissonance to it unless you have clipped the little pin that presses the root lever on your accordion, but you probably haven't. So that's that one. So that is actually a flat 9. Let me put that here. So what we get in this case is an E7 with a flat 9. So yeah, it looks like this again, but it's going to sound a little different on your instrument. Okay. The other option, which is probably the one that I would use on any other accordion that isn't Frank Moroccoified, which is like most of them, although playing this has really I've used this tune in particular as an opportunity to try out the diminished. What I usually don't use the diminished. I usually, for chromatic, use what I'm about to show you because it to my ear it fits better. So in this case, we're going to use the F7 chord. So that's right here. And let's see. I'll write these out and why they work in a minute. But let me play that one for you. So in this case, I'm going to use the, no, not F7, pardon me, B flat 7. Hang on. B flat 7, which is a tritone away. And this is going to give us a sharp 11. So it would be here. This 7th chord here. So I'll play what that sounds like. Right? That one is cool because your index finger is, I'm going to try my best to point. Your index finger, like the path that your index finger follows to get from this chord to this chord to this chord, in this way, when you use this, the magenta one with the B flat 7, is your index finger is just moving on these chords. So when you want the E flat 7 chord, your index finger is on the E flat 7. When you want the E7 chord, your index finger is on the B flat 7, just one column up. And then when you want the F7 chord, your index finger is on the F 7th button. So that is really cool to know that that's the movement. And it's cool because it's easy and elegant, and that will help, you know. Now the bass note is not following such a linear pattern. It's making these kind of, right? But the index finger is. So I could move chromatically like that, and on a regular Stradella accordion, that is my preferred voicing and sound. Sorry, I'm trying to face the camera here. So what I'm showing you is that I'm moving up in half steps chromatically, more than we need, but just to demonstrate how great of a pattern this is. And the same thing works in reverse down. So you do not have to leap. You do have to kind of you got to kind of do that, open and close your hand, but you don't have to leap, and that's really nice. So for that reason, for the elegance and also the sound, really it's mostly the sound that I care about. But that's my choice, and this is the one that I suggest. However, today on the stream, you'll see me doing this one because it's clipped. So let's just talk a little bit about the music theory of these two. And to do that, I'm just going to write out the notes that are in the chord, the notes that we get when we combine the bass notes with the chord buttons. So let's do the orange one first. So if I did the E7 with the flat 9, we get the E from the bass button, and also from, let's see, I'll write that on the ledger lines here. That's a low E. So that's the E. Actually, no, I'll put it here. We'll do this in bass clef. We'll do this in bass clef and treble clef. That's what we'll do. Okay, so let's say this is our E there. And then we're playing an F diminished. So we get an F, we get an A flat, which I'm going to rewrite as a G sharp, and we get a D in the F diminished chord. And so that's the 7th. Where is it? This note is the 7th of this chord, and this note is the 3rd of this chord, and this note is the flat 9 of that chord, and this is the root. So you have the 3rd and the 7th, which for jazz rules is the main things we need in our chord voicing, and then you also get this other what's it called? It's called an alteration, a flat 9. And so when we do the same thing on the other one, where it's a B flat 7, so I'm going to write B flat and D and A flat because that's what's in the chord button. So this is the root. And this, let's see, I'll write this. Here's a G sharp also. Just, we call that N harmonic. So that's the 3rd. And then this D is the 7th. Let's see, so this is our E7 with a sharp 11. And then this one right here, the B flat, that is the sharp 11. And in the key of E7, it would be written as an A sharp. So you have 3rd, 7th, and sharp 11 on this one. And on this one, you have 3rd, 7th, and flat 9. And my ears on probably on everybody's accordion at home, I really find the sharp 11 voicing a lot more palatable and usable. That's dissonant, but it's usable, and it doesn't sound that different than that. Whereas the flat 9 sounds real dissonant to my ears most of the time, so I don't use it. Anyways, so that's what's going on. And then the Frank Morocco style accordion that I have, that I'm playing right now, just doesn't have that F in it. So all I have in the chord voicing is the 3rd and the 7th, which is exactly what we want. It's really genius of Frank Morocco to do that. And I don't know if he was the guy that invented it or if somebody else did it or other people, like Dizzy Gillespie's bell of his horn that turned or whatever. But anyway, people had told me about it and I didn't understand. I thought that they were talking about it was a note was missing off the dominant 7 chord button, but it's not. It's off the diminished chord, which is really cool. And we don't need that additional note on that diminished chord. So yeah, okay, so that's cool. And then Charlie says, let's see, a simple way is just play the fundamental bass from the E flat, E, F sharp. Yeah. So yes, just to play the fundamental bass. Yes. So Charlie in the chat is saying a simplified way, if you didn't want to go into all this chord combining stuff, is just to play the roots. And you could do that. I think he's saying the fundamental basis. So you could do E flat and E, oops, and then up to E and F and like that. Or you could leap up to the E, up to the F, down to the F. So that's that. It's really important though for the tune, especially if you're going to accompany the tune, we need to at least have that left hand thing. And it's not easy to do this. I've spent a lot of time on it because I definitely want to have it in my playing, but it takes time. You can get it, it just takes time. I have seen, let's see, who was it? Yeah, it was, what's his name? Eddie Montero. I saw him once just sort of casually use his pinky like way far away on the diminished chords to create the dominant 7s. Anyways, yeah, Charlie's clarifying. He says just use the counter basses and don't even worry about the chord buttons. So E flat to the E to the D to the, or F to the D to the G. So those are other ways. Those are simplifying ways, and those work too. And you could just do all the chords that you need in your right hand. Okay. So that's that. Let's see. Doom, doom, doom. I want to talk about, let's see, continue on the left hand. So if we talk about the B section, I'm just playing a D7. Da, 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 the melody. I'll show the melody in a minute. Da-dum, dum. And then for the next two bars, I just played G major. Even though it says G major 6, there is a way to play a G major 6, but it doesn't sound good to me. That's technically a G major 6, but I don't like the sound of it. I just play a G triad. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. And then back to the D7. Okay, so now the A7 and the D7 here, I'm going to play on the fundamental basses, but that E minor 7, I'm going to go to the G column with my index finger and play G major. And I'm going to go to the counter bass of C and play an E bass note. So this is an E minor 7. And then I leap to the 7th, to the A column, and to the D column. And after that, I go back to the A section again. And I play again through to the second, third ending. And that's the form of the tune. Okay. Now, for the right hand chords, I have, you can obviously do whatever you want. I wanted to show, oh, you know what? Before that, I suggest, I'm going to go through the sort of flow. So I suggest you practice this with your left hand chords. Do your best, and if the E flat, the chromatic walk up is killing you, just do the roots like Charlie suggested. That's what I suggest too. If it's too much, you don't want to work on it. But what I would suggest is set this with bellowing 2 out and 2 in. This is going to help you so much. So we're going to open. I don't want that blue. I want this blue. So we're going to open here, and then we're going to close. We're going to, let's see, better put this somewhere else. So open, close the bellow, open the bellow, close the bellow. And then this is also closed. And then we have open, then close, and open. And this seems remedial and too simple, but it's not. It's going to help so many things that you think are just in your fingers, and you're going to realize that they're actually in your bellows. So let me demonstrate this. 2, 3, 4. And I'm at the top. 1, 2. Now I'm going to close for C7. And my goal is to get this back to the neutral spot. Okay, now I got the E flat and the E and the F7 and the D7. And now I'm at the first ending and I close the bellows. And I'm trying to get this one, but not run out of air. And open. This is the repeat of the A. And close 1. And I'm trying to get back to here. And open, 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 open. Second and third ending. I'm trying to get it back to here. And I open, and I open. Pretty easy. And I close. And I'm putting all that great Jacques Mornet, Cinema, Natalie Bouchek's pressure, and open. I'll ask kind of how many I was playing. And last A. Ba ba dee do ba 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 da. O da ba dee da da do da da do da da. Sorry. Okay. So that's that exercise. Super helpful. And we're going to do that for all these exercises. We're going to have the bellows out and in. But this is just such a great way to cycle through on these various ways of going through this tune and really learn the tune efficiently, but like kind of highlighting different aspects of it. So now we're highlighting the left hand, which you want. You want to have a left hand because if I'm accompanying, there's like a bajillion reasons why. If you're playing solo, like I did this tune, obviously you need your left hand. But if you're accompanying, the left hand is great to have if you're playing, you know, if there's a Django guitar player, we're not going to play the 4 on the floor quarter notes, but we are going to use it. You know, and then if I'm playing duo or any situation where the guitar player, where there is no guitar player, maybe it's me and a violin player playing this tune or any Django tune or any swing tune, or it's me and a violin player, or it's me and a guitar player, but the guitar player is playing the solo or the melody, you know, then I want to play. So this becomes then. So what I'm trying to show you is how important and useful the left hand is. So I really suggest you do it and learn it, and it helps us learn the form. So then the next step is to play the melody. So let's talk about the melody. Django's actual melody is a little more involved in this. Before we do that, let's listen to, let's go here and listen to the tune played by Yosho Stefan and what's his name? And Frank Vignola. Because Yosho is teaching this tune. And the reason I want to listen to another melody is because when you have like original recordings and there's so much, this happens all the time with vocal melodies. The way a vocalist does a melody is often sounds nothing like the way the melody is written on the page. Billie Holiday, you know, Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald, like Louis Armstrong, their vocalists especially are super embellishing melodies, but Django too. And so it's nice to know, it's nice to listen to more versions that are a little bit more contemporary and by other musicians to see sort of over time what has filtered out, what have people accepted as the things, the kind of skeleton structure of the tune. And I think that bears out over time. So it's good. So this was just recorded a few months ago, 9 months ago. So let's listen to this tune. We won't listen through all the solos, but we'll just hear the melody on the in, and that's Frank Vignola playing it. Okay. So he does those little arpeggios, which is so that we have variation. So boom, da da da. He's got these little arpeggios, whereas when we heard Stefan Grappelli on the record, he didn't. He just hung on to that onto the melody note. And Django does two the first time, and then the second time he does the little arpeggios. So that's a little augmented arpeggio that I'll talk about in a moment. That's a cool little fill. Okay. So in that case, Frank Vignola embellished that melody, the chromatic climbing melody, by jumping up to the octave. So we've got variation here, which when we're learning a tune, we need to decide, like, what am I going to accept as the melody, and how many like little variations am I going to memorize, or how many little variations am I going to say like that's the way the tune is, or is the tune like sort of like and with on each one of those notes, E flat to the E to the F sharp, we can do any sort of like little similar ornamentation we want, and that's the way I'm taking this tune. And so, like I say, like I can go back and say, okay, hey, I know like the skeleton version of this tune. I'm learning. I know the changes. I knew the skeleton version of the melody. Now I can go back and listen a lot closer to Django and try to work out more of his particular style of the tune. So let's listen to how they do the bridge. The So we got variation by repeating a melody note. Okay, and then we're into the solos. So I just say all this for all those out. We want to listen to a bunch of different versions and try to parse together what seems like the way to do it, you know. Because going off of lead sheet, whatever lead sheet gets put up is going to be like whoever makes that is going to be making that decision for you if we're only learning off a lead sheet, and it's good to know that as well. Okay, cool. So let's go back to the iPad and we'll do the melody here. Bum. So really there's like a little pickup that looks like an F. Let me make my F's look like arrows, look more like arrows. Okay. Bum bido dum bop da dik da da da. To me it feels like a triplet. So so really they play bum bum. So that's one and then it's tied to, we'll do it properly. Tied. And this is really has a pickup here, which I don't have a pickup bar. But bum bum bum. And that kind of goes on and on. You could let it ring. You could sustain it if you want. I'm going to say that in this bar, it lasts 2 beats. Let's see. Ba-dum. And then do-dum, dee-dum-da-da. That's a triplet. Dun, 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 dee, dun, dun, dun. And that kind of is tied here. There. So it's kind of like these eighth note triplets. So I'm going to do, he approaches it from 2 half steps below. So we've got C sharp, D, and it's a rest on the first triplet. And then D, E flat, E natural. And then E flat, E natural, F. And then E natural, F, F sharp. Let's see. Let me make that like the others. So if I played it, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull that 1, 2, pull that 3, 4. Pull that 1, 2, pull that dome. And I probably really would play all that a little bit higher. I kind of mix the octaves there. Dum, ba-dum. He kind of anticipates that, or that's the way I hear it. And then this little thing, we don't. I got to work out what it is. What is it rhythmically? Shoot, I've been playing it. Let's see. 2, 3, 4. Diddly da da dee, diddly da da da, dee da 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 dum. What is that, guys? Digga da da da. Diddly da da diddly. So we're gonna land on beat 3 here, and then we're gonna have a triplet here, and this is just an augmented chord. So there's the triplet. Dig it down, triplet down. Here's what I'm going to call that. D, D, E, D. Let's see, that's A, D, E. Oh, I'm going to run out of space. And then we got B flat, or really A sharp. So I'm going to call that a 16th note triplet and then 2 16th notes. Then really over here, I should have the key of, we should be in the key of G. There. Okay. That's a little feel. Phil, if you want it, you also could go, we'll talk more about this, but you could do anything that's an arpeggio. So I'm just taking an augmented chord. So what an augmented chord is, where you take it, like this is D augmented, and we raise the 5th. And augmented chords are dominant chords. They're always dominant functioning. So in this case, it's the augmented chord and the dominant 7. So I'll write aug there. Okay, so let's hear 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. Dump. And then that allows us to do the pickup. Bum, bumpy day. There we go. Okay, so we do 8th notes, and then that's the pickup. So we could do nothing in that space, or we could do other stuff. We'll talk about fills and chords and stuff soon, but not right now. So then we would repeat the melody. So I think Frank Vignola on that video played a little kind of coming, something like that. You could just arpeggiate that. I'm talking about the C minor to the G right here. There's a bunch of stuff we could do. So let me kind of complete the melody here. So this is going to be here, tied. Maybe we'll say that's like, yeah, I think a quarter note is fine. And then we're going to have a quarter note rest. And then why don't we make that our little thing? I'll hear it in context. I'll start it from the E flat ascending. That sounds great. So we'll just learn that one from Frank Vignola. Ding, 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 dee, dee, ding. 1 and 2, ding, 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 ding. So that's 3 and swung, and then triplet. Body dum. Beautiful little fill. Cool. So that's that. Now the melody for the B section, what's his name? Stefan Grappelli on the violin does play B-D-D. So I got to step back a little bit. He plays B flat, and then there's a counter melody, boom, boom, or pardon me, bing, ba, and then. But what we need to do on the accordion is harmonize that with this cool harmony. And this is the voicing that I suggest you guys all learn, or something better. But at the minimum, do this one. So our melody is up here at the top. It's a D7 augmented. It's really going to be a D9. So we're going to have like an A sharp or B flat, however you like to think about that. The F sharp here and my middle finger, an E, which is the 9th of the chord, and then the C, which is the 7th. And there's no root. There is no D in this chord, even though it is a D chord. It's just not in our chord voicing here. But we could add it in our left hand, or whoever the accompanying players are going to do that. So it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1. So this melody, it's kind of interesting rhythmically. It starts on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's see, 1, 3, 4, and 1, 3. Let me count that out though, just to make sure I'm positive here. Let's go back here and listen to it. Or actually, I don't need to screen share. That'll just add time here. Go to Django's version. That's the one. Dee, dee, dee. That's what I'm hearing as the melody. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2. So that's what I'm going to put here. Yeah, a little forward there. Okay. So it's going to start here, which is kind of unique. And I'll write it like this. 1, 2, 3. There's our A sharps. Here's the F sharp and the E and the C. Put D9. It's really a D9. Augmented. B, B, D, D. And then it's that same thing on the up E to 1 here. And this is fun. Anybody playing this on the accordion, you'll like the sound of that chord. It sounds cool. That's kind of... I'll make that a dotted 1, 2, and 3. And then there's this counter melody, which is so cool that I think we should learn too, because it could be when you're playing this at a jam that you play somebody else is playing ba da ba, and then you want to play do ba 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 da ba, and so let's count where that goes. 3, 4. Okay, so it's a little bit hard to do, but this is going to go on 3, so that'd be 1, 2, and you're going to have boom, boom. So you go D and then A sharp, and that's a tritone, which is really cool. Bing, bum, bum. Let's see. No, it's not. Okay. B, 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 boom. It's not there. It's actually a half note. This is a half note. One, 2. This is a half note. And then this is going to have to be an 8th note because we're going to have to hit, let's see, bing, bong, bing, da, da, on 4. Yeah. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Can move that over a little. That's all the counter melody. Bing, bo, bum. And then here, the first over the D7 augmented. Let's see, right here. Bum, bo, bum. That's an easy chord voicing that sounds pretty close. I think Django plays, let's see. Let's try and hear what the highest note is here. So Stefan Grappelli is up there on the D. Let's see when Django does it himself. That's a little bit more complex. So for simplicity's sake, so here, this is all the toils and decisions that we need to make when we learn from a recording. because there's so many variations here. So it's like, well, what version should I learn? And I think again, let's see the way that Frank Vignola and Yoshio Stefan play it. It's kind of like we do hear that sort of Django thing. Okay. Well, I'm still gonna give you guys a thing that is gonna work better, in my opinion, for accordion players, because you'll have played beat ba ba da ba 3 4 and 1 2 3. So go to this G6 here. So we're gonna go from day 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 to jickadoom jickadoom. That's going to be our melody here. And that's going to be a close position block chord of a G6 that's in an inversion. Okay, so that's what I'm going to write out. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and just like that. And I'll do staccato. And then this time, let's see, let me make these a little neater here. D7 og here. Okay. So the bin do dum becomes dum do dum. My intonation wasn't super perfect, but it's gonna go. Ah, I wrote it wrong. Anyways, this is a G sharp, not an A sharp. There, and then it goes to a D natural. No, to a G natural. Here. So that's the counter melody. And then it repeats. So we get this thing again. Da, da, da. We're going to use the same chords, chord voicings. So A sharp and F sharp. And that's a D9 augmented. And I like the accent and the staccato. It's not that staccato, is it really? So on the upbeat. Do, 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 do. And then we have that same counter melody again, down to the G sharp. And then it's bing dum dum dum, something like that. Django and Stefan Grappelli both do slightly different variations. Everybody does slightly different variation, but so 1 and 2 and let's see, how should I do that? And then that's going to be boom, boom. All right. So let me read what I wrote here for the B. 1, 2, 3. One. I did it again. Sorry, guys. That goes there. And this goes here. There we go. Okay. Counter melody. To there. And then boom. This is the last day. Yeah, okay. So that's the tune. That's the tune for us. Right there. And you can add your own variations based on listening to stuff or your own ideas. You could add, harmonies and ornaments and all that sort of stuff. Let's see. Let's go on to some right-hand chord voicings. So after talking about the flow, which I'll put up there, the same flow as we did for Daphne. So our first step was to play the left hand alone through the chord changes, opening the bellows 2 and closing the bellows 2. And then the second thing is to play, if you can, play the two hands together, if you're able to do that. If you're not, create a flow that's working towards that. So maybe at first you need to just learn the right hand melody. And so let's just say that that's where we're at, and you've learned it in your head off of record, or you've got a lead sheet like this one that I wrote up, or one from Django and June. So I'm going to make sure that I also still do the bellows 2 out and 2 in. So let me get this over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, close. 1, 2, 3. Now here, because it's a pickup, I'm going to adjust just on that last beat. So I'm opening. I'm actually, now that I have the melody, I'm actually going to open right there. And that's okay. This process teaches us a method that we will adjust by about 1 beat at the most, either direction, following the pickup notes. But otherwise, we're going to always try to keep it there. So let's see, I was closing there, so now I'm going to open again. And same thing here. This makes sense for me to close on this beat here. Oops. I need that is what I need on this beat. There. This one. Beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now I repeat. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, close. 1, 2, 3, open. Close. 1, 2, 3. Now we're on the pickup to the B section. 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to close here. 1, 2, 3. Open. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Open. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, close. 2, 3, open. Open, open, close. So that's going to be your second step to do, is play the melody in time with the bellowing 2 and 2, but adjusting it. This should be, I don't think that I really need to explain it. It should be pretty obvious how you adjust the bellowing, and it still helps you maintain perfect bellows. So I think to myself, I'm bellowing 2 and 2, 2 opening, 2 closing, even though very often, especially in jazz, that's anticipating. Very often, the things are starting a little bit before that beat 1 change. Cool. Okay, so then after that, your flow is to practice the right hand chords, and I suggest for everybody, people that are experienced and people that are brand new, practice a single voicing for each chord, disciplined to teach your nervous system through the chord changes. You're going to repeat it a whole bunch and it's going to drive it in there, which is what we want. We don't want to have to think about the chord at all. We want to think about how to use the chord, right? We don't want to think about what is the word to say. I want to just be able to use the word in the correct context. The correct context for a G major 6 chord is when the rest of the band is playing a G major 6, to extend my metaphor. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write out some simple chord voicings. And if you're more advanced than this, I suggest you work out more advanced chord voicings, but try your best for the most part to do only one chord voicing per chord. So that means sometimes don't just change like, oh, the first time I'm playing a root position, the second time I'm playing a first inversion, next time I'm playing an open voicing, next time I'm playing this like substitution thing. For this third step, just pick one voicing and do it. For this, we have 2 different kinds of D7s. We have a regular D7, which is, you'll see where, and then we have that D7 augmented. We're using different chord voicings for those too. But let me write this out real quick. So these are the chord shapes. Let's see, right hand chord shapes. And these are very simple chord shapes here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. And we have G6. Let me use the more narrow one. G6, D7, G6. And then we have C7 twice. And then we have E flat 7. Let's see. We have a first ending. These are called voltas. I only recently learned that. 2 and 3. Okay. E. And these, for people that are experienced, these are not going to be like really super cool chord voicings. But I think for this step, you don't need them. Or you can do them. I'll talk more about it in a second. But this is just to create like nervous system reflex so you have something you can use. And it's not enough to be like, oh, wait, what's the band's chunking along. You're like, wait, what's an E flat 7 chord? And then wait, how do I get from E flat 7 to E7? You don't want any of that. If you just want something in your hand. And so I suggest the way I'm going to show you right now. So we're going to do root position. So we're just going to start here in root position like that. And then we're going to move it to, I'll show you my hands in a second. Because we're going to play 4 quarter notes, I'm not going to take the time to write them all out. And these all do have the roots in them. And like I said, they're not the hippest voicings, but they're going to work great for you. They're going to work great for you. Oh boy. Got to do the whole thing. How should it be? Let me start here. There. That's probably how it should be. 2, 3, 4. And same thing, same voicings. And then I suggest you do a root position chord here because the melody is in the root. Or the melody is the root. So be natural. F7. And then we're going to go ahead and for this D7, we're going to use this one again. So go here. And then we'll go back and use this same G6 again. 4. Now for this D augmented, I suggest you use the same augmented that we're going to use in the melody. So that looks like this. And that's the way you got to play this tune. When you get to this bar, if you don't play the D augmented every time, it's going to be weird because it's all the versions I've heard on the solo section. The accompaniment player is playing a D augmented there. Okay. So then we're going to get to here. We just got the B section to go, folks. Here's an inversion. And so I'm just picking, the simple closest inversion for these. Okay. All right, I just have to do the B, so bear with me, and then I'll play, and I'll show you guys the next steps. So they're kind of, let's see, 1, 2, there are 3 steps to do with the right-hand chords that are super duper going to help you, and they happen as steps number 3, 4, and 5 in my suggested practicing thing for getting better at jazz accordion. This is G6, G6. This is D7 Aug, D7 Aug. This is E minor 7, A7, and D7, and then that's the end of the tune. So this is the same chord that we had before. That will be your comping chord. Make that neater. Trying to rush. And again, same chord. And for all the people for whom like this is, these chords, you feel like these are easy, well, pick chords that you want to learn in your hand. So if you want to do like big open voicings, like this, let's see. Let's see. Say you want to do, let's see. What would I do? Maybe there. What's wrong here? Can't do that one. Throw that there. There we go. What would be a good one here? What was I doing that? I'm trying to remember. How did I? That'd be there. That'd be the voicing. Make these your voicings then, and work on it like that, and then they're gonna get ingrained. So you can do whatever cool voicings you want. Those were what we call drop 2 voicings, and they're super cool. And that's what the heavy jazz accordion players of the golden era played. And it's what the jazz arrangers would write. Okay, so now we're going to do, I'm going to suggest a 2-5 here in root position. And here. But work it out. Either work it out in your head or work it out on paper and then practice it. So just like that, that'll be fine. So we have a D7 in root position. Okay. All right, now we have all of our chord voicings. And now I'm going to show you the exercise. So step 3, it's just like step 1, except for it's in your right hand. So I'm going to start here at the top. 1, 2, in time. And let me start down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm opening the bellows. Now I close. Have a good sound, good time. Don't miss a beat. And close. And close. I should go up for that one. It's too low. And I'm repeating the A. And close. Just really simple, and you can memorize it. Second and third inning. I'm going to play these up the octave. And 3, 4, and close the bellows. I'm going to write in the bellowing in a second. And open. And close. And open. And close. And open, open, open. And okay. So let me put the bellowing in. So you're opening and you're closing. And you're opening and you're closing and you're closing and you're opening, closing, and opening. Okay. So I'll write the assignment here. So so I just did exercise. So this is actually step 3, which is right hand alone, simple chord shapes. All quarter notes. And this forces your body to learn those chord shapes in your hands so you can use them. And then the next step is that we're going to do left hand plus right hand, all quarter notes on the chords. And I call this locked hands. And it's a lot harder than you think to get all those little doors to open at the same time. So I'm going to take the same thing that I did, that with the what I just did. So here we go. 1, 2, this is step 4. And this is so good for you. And you'll see the step after this. Notice I have the bellowing every 2. And I'm also trying to get the bellowing to return to the neutral position. And here's the B. And 1, 2, 3. Bum, beep, bum. Back in the A. So this is foundational stuff. And last ending. Okay. So that's step 4. So like I said, there are 3 steps with the right hand chords. The last step here, step 5, is you're going to do left hand plus right hand. But right hand is going to syncopate. And that's going to be up to you. So however much syncopation however much syncopation you want. I'm going to say make rhythm etudes. So let me demonstrate. So step 4 is like a variation. Step 5 is a variation of step 4. So step 4, the right hand and the left hand were playing at the same time. This is, now I'm practicing comping, but I'm doing it in a little bit. It's like comping and an accompaniment. I'm doing it in a way that allows me to create little repetitive motifs. So I'll show you a couple. So I'm going to start with this one. Okay. Let me go through the changes. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and so that's it. That's my little motif. D da da, D da da. Not hard to do in the right hand, but not so easy to do with your hands combined. But this is what we want. This is how we develop our independence, our really deep sense of syncopation between the two hands, all that sort of stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you get bored of it, change it or swap with something. So on the next one, I'll change to a different rhythm. I'll do something on the upbeat. So I'm on the upbeat of 1, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4. Ah, I forgot. So these are really simple and reserved, but I guarantee you're going to build so much. I can't talk and play that, but I guarantee that by doing these, and you'll have fun and be creative and find your own little like rhythmic etude, your little rhythm patterns to do. I suggest you do that, and then also just do, when you do step 5, just freely make the rhythms go and see at what point your left hand stops or starts doing what the right hand's doing, or vice versa, or you lose where you are. And remember, at the same time, we're doing all the bellowing. So okay, and that's not so bad. It's not so bad sounding, even when just only one chord voicing, not doing any other chords or inversions or anything. We have a lot of utility and use, and man, your body's going to get so used to that. So those are my 3 steps for the chords and accompaniment. And all that stuff that you do on the right hand is totally going to transfer over when you don't play the left hand either. It makes it even better. You know, you're like free. So you really fly in your accompaniment. Cool. Okay, so now let me talk about my next step. And the next step is to do the roots. So number 6 is left hand accompaniment plus right hand soloing on the roots. Again, not anything that any level of musician needs to skip. This is so fundamental, and it helps us so much. It really, really helps us. It grounds us as a way to practice, and before we do more complex things, it really helps us in learning a tune deeply. So let me go to the form here with the melody. And first I'm going to play without my left hand. to show you guys. Or no, I'll play with my left hand too. So I can use any rhythm that I want, but the only note that I can use is the root of the chord that's happening. So at the beginning, I can use a G, and then a D, and then a G. So you'll hear 1, 2, here I go. Now there I went F sharp, but I really should have gone to the D. Let me do that one again. Repeat of A. And you're allowed to do octaves. Okay, so that's me going through just playing only the roots in a solo. It helps us super ground make sure that we know what the chord changes are in our improvisation brain. It helps our hand ground to it, and it will really build wonderful ability for you to solo, play by yourself and accompany yourself and improvise, which is a very hard thing to do on the accordion. But I think we should all do it. I mean, I know that all of us would love to do it. So I extend that to you as something that you can do and you should work on. Hey, Cacophonic, it's great to see you. Yay. We're just talking about this flow for this Django tune called Sweet Chorus. So from that improvisation thing, I again, this is like really fundamental building stuff. You could extend that out to any other improvisation thing afterwards. So I would say start with that every day that you practice as a way to ground yourself. It's super disciplined. You're only allowed to play that, so you can't rely on other kind of gestures. And then after you've done that at least one time through the tune, maybe two, then go on to other improvisation exercises with that. Cool. And then the last thing that I have to suggest is that you finish your cycle of work, which would be, let's see. So step 1 was left hand alone. Step 2 was right hand melody, plus left hand if you are able to. Or I should say when you are able to, not if, but when. So if you can't do the left hand yet, then you should be working on adding that in. Like maybe you just take the first 4 bars and you keep practicing it over and over. Let's see. Plus left hand when you are able. Cool. And then we already know steps 3, 4, and 5 were the chord work. So step 3, 4, and 5. 3 is just the right hand chords. 4 is the chords 2 hands together. And 5 is chords with syncopation in the right hand. The left hand stays solid. Step 6 is improv. So 6 is left hand plus right hand roots only improv. And then the last step, step 7, is the jazz sandwich, which is where you're actually going to play through the entire tune. You're going to play through the melody, and then you're going to take a solo, and then you're going to play through the melody again. So let me go ahead and do that. And this is a method for you to practice every session that you practice. This doesn't account for everything, but I think this is a crazy strong structure that you can swap stuff out, you can eliminate stuff, you can expand on other things. But by doing it in this flow of working on the things and starting, I especially say, start with your left hand alone and with those bellowing. Make sure your bellowing is always set for every single part of this exercise. You could swap out the different things, but make sure that you do the simple chord shapes repetitively, and make sure that you end with the jazz sandwich, and you will be so prepared for learning the tune. So 1, 2, and 3, 4. And here. I didn't get it. I can't do the bend. Please. I don't know, something like that. So finish with that in some sort of facsimile, so that you are you're ending with a performance. And I think the what I'm trying to share is many things. I'm trying to show you specific things about this tune, teach you the tune, and teach you the things that I think are cool and how I do it. My perspective. I'm also trying to teach you a way to practice any tune that will really, really help you. If your aspiration or if your bag is jazz accordion, and that's, you want all those skills, which is playing the melody well, improvising well, playing chords and accompaniment well, try this flow. It's really, really, really good, and be consistent with it, and you'll see really big growth. I think the only thing that I didn't talk about that I promised that I would is this idea of whole tone sounds. And so I realize I want to get to that right now. So let me do this, and let's see, what time is it? 2:02. Okay, cool. So we'll go a little bit longer. That's fine. So for improvisation, so let's see here. Whole tone, scale, so melodies, and harmonies. So the whole tone scale is, I'm not sure what to call it. Its name is what it is. It's a scale of whole tones. And the D whole tone scale, you'd start on D, and you go up in whole steps. So you have D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B flat. And this is like in a sitcom, like when they're doing a flashback to, I remember just like it was, you know. It's got that. It's a sound that is not really very much in fashion now and hasn't for a while, but Django really, really liked this sound and used it a lot. He used it in a ton of different tunes and a lot of his solos and vocabulary. And we also know it, like, I say that it sounds like French Impressionism because it's a kind of modal. When you make things out of one scale, that's called modality. That's what modal playing is. When you have just one scale that all of your chords and melodies come from just this one scale. And that's kind of what this is. So from this scale, we can make chords and patterns out of the same way, or using this same system. And that's just finding different patterns of combinations here. So I'm just going to continue the scale up. Let's see, after that one, it becomes C again. So let's see, we have D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C, and then D. Okay, so we have 2 octaves of the whole tone scale. And if I was gonna, like, suggesting to improvise, the first thing I would suggest you do is just get the scale under your fingers. I kind of like this for fingering of the scale. Let's see. 2-1. And then you can do 2-3-4 on these, which is really nice. And then 1, and then 2-1, 2-3-4, 2-1. You can find any number of different fingerings, but there's 6 notes and we have 5 fingers, so something's gotta change there. Let me add a stick here. There we go. Okay, so so you could sequence it. You could do 1 2 3 2 3 4 3 4 5. Same thing coming down. Right? If you land on a resolution, it's going to work. And so that last one, something like that. I did a little chromatic up to the D. Another thing to do is to do thirds. Like that. That's super common. So I might do or coming down. Right? So on the bridge, ba-da-ba. Now I got them on the G. We moved out of the whole tone scale, but or so you can do let's see, A. You've got like D, E, F sharp, and then E, F sharp, G sharp. I'll put as triplets, but you could do any rhythm like that, and then F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, like that, etc. B, you could do like that. E, G sharp, C, F sharp, A sharp, D, G sharp, C, E. The interesting thing is it's always going to give you, like, this is like a D augmented, and this is like a C augmented, and then it's going to be D augmented and C augmented over and over and over again. Looks like I'm writing dog and cat. So this is a pattern there. And then let me give another one. Let's see. Where should I start? No, C. Then would be A sharp. And then G sharp. So here are a few patterns. I'll play the first one. Right, and you can do down, you can do anything like that. The second one, number B. And then when the chord changes to the G, which is going to, then you play G stuff. And C. Let's see. right? Cool. And it's the same thing or something very, very similar for harmonies from the whole tone scale, which I would use when I'm taking a solo also. So I would take like these notes and I would just stack them. So this whole exercise here, just like stack those notes. Let me play it for you and then I'll write it out. So C7. Okay, I'm going into more of the tune, but to show you how you could use those, it doesn't give you this vocabulary, like this same kind of bebop vocabulary or resolving sort of thing. It's a modal sound, but it's cool and it's what's right for this tune. So it's what Django is doing. So we'll stack that one, and then this one, and then this one. And it's true that it's just going to be a D augmented and a C augmented inverted. I don't know. I just feel like I'm sort of moving up the scale when I do this. I don't hear a C augmented and a D augmented in my head. And then etc. So you can come down. And these are all over a D bass and D7. Okay, cool. Hey, Craig Hollingsworth. Thanks for watching, man. Alrighty. Okay, so that concludes my run through for this tune. I think it's a really cool, beautiful tune. I'm gonna pick the tune for next week. If anybody has opinions, hey, Philip Katz, thanks for watching. Hope you're good. Are you still in Florida? But if anybody wants to throw in a suggestion for the next, I'll show you guys what are the possibilities for tunes. And if I don't get a strong request, I'll just go with whatever I think is good. But if I go over here, and then we go here. So we've done, I did Minor Swing, which wasn't on the list. We've done Daphne from the tier 1, and we've done Sweet Chorus from the tier 2. So we have all of these tunes to get through. Jesse, Sul Ce Soir, Joseph, Swing 39, Dark Eyes, Coquette, Bossa Dorado. Cool. That's that's funny, Philip. Anyways, so if you guys have suggestions, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll pick one. And my job is to prepare us for the upcoming Django in June, and then just share the love of this kind of swing music. I'm gonna put on a tune to listen to, and I'm gonna go grab some water, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna finish up the live stream with the book club for chapter 7 of The Artist's Way. Let me find something cool to listen to. Ding dong 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 dong. Let's see. Voila. Just that one. Go to my subscriptions. See if I can find something real quick. Some more Yannicka at the kitchen table. Let's do this. That's a little too crazy. I'll find something real quick. I know it. Okay, I'm back. Don't leave. Hi, everybody. Okay. No, now you see me. Wait, no, you don't see me yet, but you will see me in one moment. There I am. Okay. Chat. See if everybody's there. Maybe. So now we're gonna go on to the Artist Way section. Again, if you're just joining, my name is Dallas. I'm an accordion player and teacher. Right now I'm in Southern California in the desert. I also, when my life's not interrupted, I live in Pennsylvania. Beautiful, green, wet Pennsylvania, and cold. All right, let's see. Let's do that. There we go. Okay, so let's get into chapter 7 of The Artist Way. I gotta say, hey to everybody, if you guys are still watching, I know Bertie Wooster and Ann and Tom and stuff, you guys are doing the Artist Way with me, so feel free to pop in. This week I didn't do any tasks, and you know what? It's because I think, like, if I'm honest with myself, it's because it was about money, and, and I'm not great with money, and I just didn't do it. But anyways, I did do the journaling, the morning pages. Most days, I think I missed one day, and that is really therapeutic and really helpful. I like it a lot. It's really, really great. And I practiced a whole bunch, which is great. That feels, hey, Anne's still here. Hey, Anne. That felt great. And maybe most importantly, I practiced a bunch, and I kept returning to this idea that, like, to maybe soothe myself or change my interior self-talk, that, like, I'm going to trust the universe to bring stuff to me, even when I'm practicing. And she talks about that in this chapter, but that has been really cool, a very cool change for me. So I'm going to go through chapter 7 and kind of talk about the ideas and stuff, and then we'll kind of close out the live stream until next Tuesday. So this is titled Recovering a Sense of Connection. And I think I might have written community in all of this stuff. And I think I did think it was community, but it's not. It's connection. So this first, it's a pretty short chapter, and she talks about listening, and it's listening to ourselves. So I'm going to, as I do always, I'm going to, like, opine and read my little highlights and stuff. The first highlight I have is that she says, art is not about thinking something up. It is about the opposite, getting something down. The directions are important here. So, thinking something up or getting something down. And the first paragraph, she says, the ability to listen is a skill we are honing with both our morning pages and our artist dates. I didn't do the artist date this week either, but I'm going to do it this weekend, I promise. The pages train us to hear past our censor. The artist dates help us to pick up the voice of inspiration. While both of these activities are apparently unconnected to the actual art of making art, the act of making art, they are critical to the creative process. And that jogged something that I have kind of come up with as stuff for my own self and for helping people, like in my teaching, which is just that, like, we are learning, our progress on the instrument is dependent on a number of things, and a lot of those things are not actually the time on the instrument. So we have to practice, and we have to get other knowledge. So practice is, your time on your instrument, putting all the time in. It ain't going to happen without that. Knowledge would be either your study. I could put that as study either. So maybe you're taking lessons with somebody, maybe you're transcribing, maybe you're reading books, maybe you're watching YouTube videos. However that is, like, getting out information and ideas from outside yourself and adding them to yourself, getting feedback from outside yourself, new things coming to you. Then at the bottom I have perform. We need to perform any sort of performance, however it is. If it's privately for our friends and family, if it's recording, if it's going to open mics, if it's being a professional musician or semi-professional or whatever. And then we need inspiration. We have to stay inspired. And that just reminded me when she talked about the artist dates, that these 4 things are all super, super important for all of us. And sometimes when people, will come and they'll say, hey, like, I don't know, I'm not making progress or whatever. It's like, okay, well, let's look at these 4 parts and let's see what's missing. A lot of the times the performance is missing because hobbyists tend to be shy. And she's going to talk about that too. There's a fear of failure, a fear of inadequacy, which is, I completely understand. I'm not saying it is irrational or anything. Very rational, but still we need to work on it, and it behooves us. We follow our heart when we can get over that. Okay, the next thing that I have bracketed here is reality versus fantasy. So she says, if we're trying to think something up, we are straining to reach for something that's just beyond our grasp, up there in the stratosphere where art lives on high. And I feel like that was myself in college. I immediately think about that. I was not connected. Everything had to be, like, super great, and I was super hard on myself and living in this total delusion fantasy world because I was 18 and from a podunk city and a podunk little high school, and I'm in LA, and I think I'm going to be the next great jazz pianist or something. And it just wasn't happening at all. I was lacking so much so much really fundamental stuff, and I didn't get it. And then all my things, I thought, well, I have to learn. I can't just learn one chorus of a solo. I'm going to learn 12 solos. I'm going to do it. And of course I didn't. Set myself up for failure. But anyway, it's reality versus fantasy. We got to be that's what I think. We have to be down real life. Like, where am I at right now? What can I create? And then just focusing on the beauty. And then she gives various examples of people creating spontaneously. I'm going to read this little green box. Michelangelo is said to remark that he released David from the marble block he found him in. The painting has a life of its own. I try to let it come through, said Jackson Pollock. And Julia Cameron says when she teaches screenwriting, she reminds her students that their movie already exists in its entirety. Their job is to listen for it, watch it with their mind's eye, and write it down. And that's just super, super powerful. Like, I feel like I could tell myself that when I start a solo, I could just say, hey, just listen for it. Let whatever is supposed to come out, rather than thinking like, oh, hey, I just did some arpeggio stuff. Man, can't I do something cooler or more lyrical, or what would Django play here, or this, that, the other thing, just be like, no, just like what is in me, what just needs to come out of my hands. Or if we're not improvising, if we're learning a piece of music, like, let that music come through my hands the way that I'm hearing it. I'm frustrated, I can't get it together. Like, ask the universe to let it out. I think that's a very helpful, powerful thing. The last highlight on this page: some people find it easier to picture the stream of inspiration as being like radio waves of all sorts being broadcast at all times. So it's all there, and we just have to sort of tune into it. The next thing I've highlighted: once you accept that it is natural to create, you can begin to accept a second idea. That second idea is that the creator will hand you whatever you need for the project. The minute you are willing to accept the help of this collaborator, you will see useful bits of help everywhere in your life. Be alert, there is a second voice, a higher harmonic, adding to and augmenting your inner creative voice. This voice frequently shows itself in synchronicity, and that's super cool. So it's folding in, it's reminding us of themes from earlier chapters from the book, since its inception rather, which is that the creative process is the act of God. It's the nature of the universe, and we need to trust and let go. Just let it happen. She says, try to remember that God is the great artist. Artists like other artists. So that means God likes us. And expect the universe to support your dream. It will. I put arrows there because I've successfully been like just putting that out as a sort of soothing mechanism when I feel like I'm being a little too hard on myself, and it's really helping. Okay, so then the next section is about perfectionism. This is really, really helpful, I think, or at least it gives articulation to a thing that we all struggle with. Me, you, all of us. So perfectionism, we know what it is. Perfectionism has nothing to do with getting it right. It has nothing to do with fixing things. It has nothing to do with standards. Perfectionism, this is the red highlight. Perfectionism is refusal to let yourself move ahead. Okay. It's a loop, an obsession, excessive, debilitating closed system that causes us to get stuck in the details. She's going to say later, the perfectionist fixes one line of a poem over and over until no lines are correct. The perfectionist redraws the chin line on a portrait until the paper tears. The perfectionist writes so many versions of a scene that she never gets to the rest of the play. The perfectionist writes, paints, creates with one eye on her audience. Instead of enjoying the process, the perfectionist is constantly grading the results. And I definitely get trapped here. I like the red thing that I highlighted. The perfectionist has married the logic side of the brain. The perfectionist has married the logic side of the brain, right? The critic reigns supreme in the perfectionist's creative household. So it's got to be exactly right, for somebody. I like that in that yellow box, she talks about how it's one eye on the audience. And I think that the solution, I wonder what everybody else thinks. Yeah, here's Birdie saying the perfectionism section hit home hard. That's I'm not happy to hear it, but I'm happy to hear it. You know what I mean? It's like confirming. not of you, not of anything I think about you, but just like me, I think like, yeah, this is a major theme we see all day, every day. And let's see, what was I going to say? Just ways to get through perfectionism, ways to get past it. And she talks about how, let's see, is it here? I don't think I highlighted it, but she talks about how like the perfectionist, the way through and past perfectionism is to find things that are sort of unfinished and go, I'm going to come back to that, and I'm going to let the creativity and I'm going to let the universe's answers answer that later. I'm going to move forward. Like, this isn't quite right, but I'm going to keep going forward instead of just being like, this isn't quite right, and I'm not going to stop until it's quite right. Da 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 da. Oh, it has to be da da da. It has to be this that. It's like, okay, well, we were moved by the God, good orderly design, or the universe, or whatever it is, Jesus Christ, whoever moves us. We were moved to put this thing there. There it is. It's not quite right, but we continue moving and continue creating. And that's the energy and the vibe. This is how I kind of interpret it, rather than like, that's it. And it's not, she's like thinking up versus thinking down. So it's not whatever enough yet. Like, just chill, like meet it on its own terms, vibe it out, wait, come back, and later she's going to talk about how, well, I won't spoil it. We'll get there in a second. But I like that. I find all that helpful, and that's why I'm stating it and explaining it. At the end of the page, oh yeah, here it is. This is what I'm thinking of. She says, a Paul Gardner, who I don't know who Paul Gardner is, but a painting is never finished. It simply stops in interesting places. That is so cool. Isn't that the truth? A book is never finished, but at a certain point you stop writing it and you go on to the next thing. A film is never cut properly, but at a certain point you let go and you call it done, So it's like, we need to, there's a lot of gray area in that, between like, this is not good and this is good, but it's like, she's trying to heal us. This is recovering a sense of of connection. So this is from the point of healing. It's like, yeah. Okay. Then we have the success of a creative recovery hinges on our ability to move out of the head and into action. Also super, super true. And I see this for my student roster, is the ability to go out and perform and to soothe ourselves, give ourselves self-talk and realize where we are. And I have said this on the live stream. This was back before Christmas. I did some gigs with Michael Joseph Harris. I stayed at his house. He's a wonderful guitar player based out of Baltimore. And we were talking about teaching. I said, I teach, da 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 da. He's like, yeah, I don't really teach. I just don't really enjoy it, but I like to mentor. He said, he organizes these jam sessions, Django music jam sessions, gypsy jazz jam sessions. And he's like, I like to go to the people, the newer people or whatever, and I like to encourage them. And one thing that I like to tell people, and I think people need to learn, is you have to be okay to suck at first. You have to know you're going to suck and keep going, and that's okay. You have to be okay with that. And that is, I remember that, like, that's one of the things, a friend, colleague said. I was like, that is so right, and for me too, for all of us. But I'm sharing that with you, MJH. Let's see. Let me read some more quotes. I'll look like an idiot, we say, conjuring up images of our first acting class or our first hobbled short story, our terrible first drawings. Part of the game here is lining up the masters and measuring our baby steps against their perfected craft. We deny that in order to do something well, we must first be willing to do it badly. We deny that, right? But it's true. We have to be able to let yourself suck at the accordion, let yourself suck at this particular song. Like, allow yourself that, whatever that framing needs to be. If suck feels too hurtful, you just change those words. That's a word that just feels kind of disarmingly, it's like, I suck. It's like, doesn't hurt so bad for me to say it, so it works. But if that language doesn't work, use different language. But because that's like a necessary step. If we guard, if we say I'm only going to perform when it's absolutely perfect, like we will never reach that point, because it puts us, I agree with her, or I have experienced that, this thing. And I can say it for myself too. Solo accordion is something that a few years back I had sort of dedicated, or I started putting time into. And then I feel like only last year, out here in this house with a lot of time on my hands, I really started to make a lot of progress on it forward and get a better concept of finding myself and what I do in the Django and other jazz in a solo accordion context, and started singing. And in order to do that, I have to allow myself to suck at it, which is really hard because I'm the teacher and I play with, you know what I mean? It's like no matter where we are, we're learning things, and we're going to suck at the new things, whatever it is, a new tune, a new genre, a new whatever, new arrangement. Okay. So she talks about like when we're hiding from putting ourselves out there and sort of doing something, but we're not great at it. She says, we do feel safe, but the safety is a very expensive illusion. In order to risk, so we're talking about risk, we must jettison our accepted limits. We must break through the I can't because I'm too old, too broke, too shy, too proud, self-defended, timorous. I don't know what timorous means. And there will never, my little note here is that we'll never have an end to the reasons why we can't do something. We will always come up with something, but we can't go with that. Usually when we say we can't do something, what we mean is that we won't do it because we can't guarantee that we're going to do it perfectly, and we're afraid of the risk. Last one in blue, as blocked artists, we unrealistically expect and demand success from ourselves and recognition of that success from others. With that as an unspoken demand, a great many things remain outside of our sphere of possibility. Ain't that the truth? And yeah. Okay, and then we have this big list of things that we're asked to like contemplate. If we were willing to risk, would we try these things? And then let's see what else is not really anything there. And then on the next pages we have, let's see. Oh yeah, we talk about jealousy. Okay, so let me finish up the risks part. So she finishes with just talking about taking risks in general, not even necessarily in our art field, chosen art fields, whatever, accordion or whatever we're doing. But she says that like just the energy, the spirit of taking risks helps every other aspect and helps our artist self. Because to make art is to, put down something that is fresh and us, and it's not somebody else's. So therefore it's full of, the ability for us to criticize it. And that is a risk. So to make art is a risk. And by taking risks in other facets, it helps that ability to make art, which is risky by its like sort of definition. So I'll read my highlights. It is always that way with taking risks. To put it differently, very often a risk is worth taking simply for the sake of taking it. There is something enlivening about expanding our self-definition, and a risk does exactly that. Selecting a challenge and meeting it creates a sense of self-empowerment that becomes the ground for further successful challenges. Viewed that way, running a marathon increases your chances of writing a full-length play. Writing a full-length play gives you a leg up on the next marathon. And then complete the following sentence, all of us. If I didn't have to do it perfectly, I would try. What would I try? If I didn't have to do it perfectly, I would try salsa dancing, I guess. I don't know. I have tried salsa dancing. And I want to. I don't do it perfectly. Okay. I think the last little section of this chapter is about jealousy. So she talks about her jealousy. I'm going to read starting the second big paragraph of this section. Jealousy is a map. Each of our jealousy maps differs. Each of us will probably be surprised by some of the things we discover on our own. I, for example, that's Julia Cameron, have never been eaten alive with resentment over the success of women novelists. But Julia, took an unhealthy interest in the fortunes and misfortunes of women playwrights. She was their harshest critic until she wrote her first play. How about that? She says, this is highlighted in blue. With that action, my jealousy vanished, replaced by a feeling of camaraderie. Her jealousy had actually been a mask for her fear of doing something she really wanted to do. But she was not yet brave enough to take that action towards doing that thing. She says jealousy is always a mask for fear. Fear that we won't what? We won't get what we want. Frustration that somebody else seems to be getting what is rightfully ours, even if we are too frightened to reach for it. It doesn't allow for the abundance and multiplicity of the universe. Jealousy tells us that there's room for only one poet, one painter, one whatever you dream of. Oh man, that accordion player got that gig, man. I'm never gonna have a gig again ever. Or they covered that song so good that I love, and I was working that song on her. I don't know, whatever it is. But there's room, and a different framing is like, well, nobody plays accordion exactly like you. That's it. It's just there's no right and wrong in music. There's just, does it sound like you? And when it sounds like you, it's right. And until that point, it doesn't sound like, it's not right until it's you. And that's it. That's all it needs to be, is you. The sound coming out needs to be you. We need to see ourselves in that sound. Okay. Jealousy strips us of our will to act when action holds the key to our freedom. So she gives a little sort of writing thinking exercise, almost like cognitive behavioral therapy, if anybody's hip to that. And so you're supposed to start off, this is a 3-part thing. You write who you're jealous of, you write why that you're jealous of them, and then you write a little something you can do to help that in some way, shape, or form. It can be really tiny. Doesn't have to solve it, just helps it a little bit. And these are some cool things that I did the exercise. I don't want to share them because I did it for real, and I did it on another application because I didn't want to put it in the book. Because I'm trying to help myself here. And I don't need to name names of all the people I'm jealous of. I got a little jealousy. And it's cool. It's cool. It's definitely reminds us that, we're not stuck here. Here's also some personal stuff. As a kid, I have a lot of issues with my family. There was a lot of neglect, emotional neglect, which is a kind of abuse I've learned. And so a lot of these wishes are, I just wish I had attention and time with my family, and for my mother in particular. But I have my life now, and I get to sort of make my own chosen family, which is cool. So, but that's a cool exercise. And then the exercise after it is focusing on the positives, the things that you do have, the connections that you do have, the resources and support that you do have. So those were all cool, and that's the end of the chapter. And then the tasks are pretty cool. They are, let's see, you focus on this mantra, which is this: treating myself like a precious object will make me strong. That's one of them, and you're supposed to do stuff around that. You're supposed to listen to just one side of an album. I do have some records here, but I don't have a record player. So whatever that means, one side of an album. So 4 songs on an EP or something. And then sort of reflect on it. You're supposed to take yourself to a sacred space, whether that's a sort of conventionally sacred space, like a church or whatever, or something else that feels sacred to you. You're supposed to create a great smell in your house, or wear a special item of clothing that you normally wear for a special occasion, but you're just going to bust it out. Buy yourself a pair of socks, which I'm totally going to do that one. Really thick socks are so wonderful. What a great adult gift, huh? Make a collage where you're, let's see, what are you doing? Including stuff about your past, present, and future. Like an autobiography. List 5 favorite films and then find the connections between them, which is a fun exercise. Name your favorite topics to read about. And then the final one is about your collage. If you did the collage, then put it somewhere important in your house. And those are the tasks. And that is the end of The Artist Way. Cool. So I can say goodbye to everybody. Birdie said he has to get some deluxe socks. Yeah. Treat yourself. So I know this week I'm definitely going to take myself to an artist date. I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready for a concert. It's been a couple weeks. Last weekend, I just didn't make it. I was busy. The weekend before that, I was playing concerts. So I did get to hear Stefan Rembel, and I got to hear Alfonso Ponticelli and his band. So that was all excellent music, but the artist date's supposed to be where you're alone and like focusing in on that. I'm not trying to let the good be the enemy of the perfect, be the enemy of the good, but I want to do that. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, everybody. all of the PDF or all of the things that I wrote out today, I'm going to have up on the website. Oh, there is one more thing that I want to share with you before we go. If you're an accordion educator, is it this Sunday or next Sunday? Let me see. Well, I'll know when I go to the website. So hang on a second. Yeah, this Sunday is the next Teach Talk for accordion educators. So if you teach at all, if you teach accordion in any way, shape, or form, or you're going to in the next 12 months, this is for you. It's free. It's a discussion. We're going to talk about how we teach the left hand. How do we approach it? Various aspects of it. Are there any challenges? What are the successes? What materials do we use? This, that, the other thing, patterns, all that sort of stuff. And I want to make sure that I promote that. That's free. Go to atgaccordion.com and you can find a link to it and register for free. Let's see what else. The Django in June music camp. It's in Northampton, Massachusetts, in the central Mass. It's really wonderful. If you have any questions, message me. I'm happy to tell you more about it. This live stream happens every Tuesday. Not that. Here I am. This live stream happens every Tuesday. It's a thrill. It's a pleasure. Next week will be another Django tune, another chapter, more great accordion music. And I don't know. I'm going to change up the format a little bit. It's starting to get a little formulaic and it's a little too, I don't know, book reporty. So I want to change it up in some way, shape, or form, which I will. I mean, I'm going to continue, but just keep it spontaneous. Otherwise, I'm having tons of fun. Thank you all so much. If you're interested in studying with me, this is the website. Rising Reed. It's not greed. It's Rising Reed. Like a reed of an accordion that rises up from our hearts like the sun rising and casting a beam of warmth and beauty. This is the website. And you can, if you're curious about who I am and what I do, go here. Book a free 15-minute phone call with me and we'll talk about stuff and you can ask me any questions. If you know that you want to study with me, you can go here and buy one lesson or a package of lessons. And very soon I will have the online courses subscription up as well. Yeah, here's also where very soon, when you click on that for Sweet Chorus, I'll have the PDFs and the video link and all that sort of stuff here. And you can comment on that or the Artist Way stuff. That's all. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Love, joy,